everybody. Welcome to the Extravaganza with yours truly, Captain Lou. And I'm going to turn it over to the host of the evening, the host with the most, number one Philly fan, Mitch Bernstein. Mitch, how are you, my friend?
Fine, Lou. We have to move further south.
Yeah. Welcome to our world, big fella.
Oh, God. There was 5 to 8 inches in Wilmington, North Carolina. Really? It's coming this weekend? I said to my wife, where are we going to go? we actually did look up some locations that we could fly to.
Yeah.
But that's a fantasy. We're not going anywhere. You know,
Yeah.
it's exciting in some way, but in another way, it sucks because we wanted to get out of it. We would move here for more snow. Oh my God, it stinks.
Yeah. Well, at least for you guys, it'll go away quick. This is the most snow that we've gotten in quite a while here. I'll say that. It's been snowing nonstop for it seems like 2 weeks, man. It's crazy.
I know. Well, you know, you're used to it. There's no plows in Wilmington, North Carolina. They don't plow. I shouldn't say that. They plow the one lane of one road that goes to the hospital and one lane of the roads that go to the airport. That's it. But the airport's going to get shut down. I mean, there's no way.
Right. No, I'm
Anyway,
sure.
speaking of snow, let's segue into the NFL playoffs. How much fun was it to watch those games?
Oh my God. Yeah, it was fun. It was a profitable weekend.
Yeah, listen to this, folks.
I got the bets right on the over-unders, and of course I do my own like teaser parlays.
Yeah.
But oh gosh, I should have took the straight up under and over on both. Shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? But
right.
And then the best one was, I couldn't believe I found this on DraftKings. All you had to do was bet that Matthew Stafford would rush for 1 yard.
1 yard. I saw that. Yeah, 1 yard.
1.5 times your bet. That was like taking candy from a baby. When he ran for that, what was it, a 16-yard run right before halftime, I was up doing the two-step around the couch.
He was doing cartwheels.
Well, then I got yelled at because my wife said, remember what you did to your Achilles 3 years ago? And I'm like, oh, that's right. I can't be doing that crap no more. So, no, it was fun. Great games. It's going to be an interesting Super Bowl, huh?
Yeah. It's, Drake May didn't play his best. I think you have to give the edge, like you kind of do all season, to the better quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
In this situation, I think, Stafford's a little bit more, Darnold is a little more experienced, a lot more experienced. So at this point, you have to go, I think, with him. What are your thoughts?
Right now, I'd say yes. I probably would as well. It's funny because I really was never a Darnold fan, right? But gosh, how can you not? I mean, really, Seattle's a 4.5 point favorite.
Yep.
The over under, I think, is 45.5 on that one. I would tend to lean to the under on that game because I think these defenses are very good.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think Seattle's just got too many playmakers on offense, and you still need offense to win. And I really like that Jackson Smith and Jigba. And as much as it pains me to say this, being a Michigan fan, Kenneth Walker is, I think he's going to be the difference maker for.
He's good, man. He was thrashing through those lines, and he's quick. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, he definitely was a great pickup for them. But it should be a good game.
Yeah.
Fun. Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, the snow was so interesting, and everybody was shocked. Oh my God, what's coming in? It was clear as day in the first half, and then we got snow. Oh my gosh, we have a freaking blizzard.
Well, it's funny, I was listening to Dan Patrick in between stops on my route the other day, and he had Mark Schlereth on, and he was watching it from Peyton Manning's box or suite, whatever, and he said that he had a gal that was a weather forecaster on his show, and she said that it was going to turn in the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
She predicted it, and she was spot on. And so, to me, that you would think the coaching staff would have a hand on that, and it all. I think Sean Payton outsmarted himself. I'm not a Sean Payton guy. I think he's arrogant and condescending. I've never been a big fan of his, and I think he tried to be the smartest man in the room and relied on analytics too much.
Take the points. It's a freaking playoff game.
Take the points, and I think the Rams screwed up too. I think McVay did the same thing. And Dan Campbell, I still have nightmares about that championship game when they should have kicked the field goal. Hindsight's 2020.
It is a freaking championship game.
Yes, exactly. It's not week 5 of the regular season. Yeah. Go for it. But
unbelievable. It was so dumb.
That's the NFL right now.
Dumb, stupid.
Yeah.
Thinking of again. How about this? I keep segueing. I must be on.
I love it. You're getting good at that.
Stupid, dumb. Belichick not elected to the Hall of Fame. Listen, as much as we don't like him, look at his credentials. What's going on? What happened?
Yeah, a 6 Super Bowl winner. I mean, really, and he won 3 Super Bowls after Spygate. Mm-hmm. And again, all it does to me, I posted this on social media. Congratulations to the NFL. They've now reached the level of MLB for their hypocrisy. I don't know if hypocrisy is the right word, but they're clueless. I don't know if you saw Jimmy Johnson on. He was on Pat McAfee, and I didn't listen when he was on Colin Cowherd, but he was pissed. And it's like he said. Everybody's saying that they voted for him. So half of them are lying.
Yeah, right.
And this adage, baseball uses it, basketball uses it. They figure, well, he's going to get in. I want to vote for somebody that I like that needs my vote to get in. That is such bullshit. I'm sorry, pardon my French, but it really hits a nerve with me with Hall of Fame voting. If you're good enough to get in, you get in on the first ballot. How Mariano Rivera wasn't a unanimous pick. I mean, it's stuff like this. This should have been a no-brainer, first year, first ballot, unanimous Hall of Fame vote. But
absolutely.
I don't get it. You get the good old boys in there, and it's
Well, I read today, I forget if it was for this past vote in football or baseball, and somebody said, I never vote for a guy on the first ballot.
Yeah. What is that? Then his voting privileges should be revoked.
So I did talk, let the folks know, I did have a nice interview with Jason Stark yesterday. I'm going to edit it and get it out there. And I asked him, one of the questions we talked about was the Hall of Fame. I said, it's baseball, obviously. He goes, Mitch, he says, you have to change your mind. You have to change your way you think now with baseball Hall of Fame. It's not those numbers. It's not those 500 home runs. It's not 3,000 hits. It's not 3,000 strikeouts or 300 pitchers winning games, 300 wins. It's not that anymore.
No.
Baseball has changed. And you have to develop an understanding that it's never going to be the way it is.
No.
So he was told, and people will hear this on the interview, what's the one thing that they need to look at for initially to get an idea of whether this player belongs. And his comment to these new writers who were voting for the first time was war.
Yeah.
That is the first thing you look at. And then he said some other things, and they said the other thing is watch them play. Just watch them play. These guys should be, I don't know how they can watch 1,000 games, but, look at the players who could be in, and that's who you watch. And if you think they're good enough, vote for them.
It's funny is you got guys that vote for the Major League Hall of Fame that haven't been to a game in decades. And it's like they're grandfathered in to vote. And I know some NFL guys, there's a guy that I listen to on Chris Russo's show every Wednesdays. He's a funny guy, but he's an older gentleman. He's much older than us, and he gets that vote every year, and he's just stuck in his ways. And that troubles me, and that's interesting that you brought that up about the war. Because you could use that for some guys that aren't in. Lou Whitaker, for example, his war was better than a lot of them that are in now. I don't know. I think the Hall of Fame is diluted because of some of the older veterans that they're letting in. You're never going to convince me that Harold Baines is a Hall of Famer. I'm sorry.
Agree.
I think when you've got guys like Dale Murphy,
Don
Mattingly, Steve Garvey. I mean, really? How in the hell is he not in there? And I just,
It boggles the line. It really does. It's interesting
we could spend 2 hours talking about it. I get it.
Yeah. So we have a special guest coming on February the 25th. Okay. I'm not telling you who it is yet, folks. I did put it out there. It's a former Philadelphia Eagles player. I got some guesses. They were not correct. If people who are watching want to guess, put it in the chat. Go right ahead. We are open to guesses. We will not be letting people know who it is until next week. And that way you can plan your schedule around Eagles fans and football fans, probably mostly Eagles fans. Plan your schedule around on that day, February 25th. That's a Wednesday, to watch the show because this person will be on. So be ready for the announcement next week. That's what's happening. Exciting news next week. And Lou, I have a trivia question.
Okay.
And actually, I have two. I think I put this out there a couple of weeks ago, and maybe it was last week. I forget. So we go to trivia every Tuesday now, and it's great. A lot of fun, different categories. Yeah. So last night's Jeopardy round type question where you either you can bet it all, I bet a little, bet none, was this. What color is Tony the Tiger's nose on the Frosted Flakes box?
Oh, wow. I'm not going to Google it.
Don't Google. No cheating.
No. I wouldn't do that. I'd say blue.
And we were wrong, but I thought about it. And I was like, that makes sense. I said it in our group, and we didn't go with it. Here's the other one that people can put in the chat, their answer. And I think I told you that. I don't know if I did this with you or not. Who was the first major league player to appear on the Wheaties box?
You said you did this last week. Yeah.
Okay. People are watching. Put that in the chat too. First major leaguer to appear on the Wheaties box. A lot of guys. There's a ton of answers out there.
Yeah.
That could have been. But if you're out there and you're watching right now, and I see we have some people watching, feel free to put that answer in the chat. If you answer correctly to either of those questions, I am prepared to give out some baseball cards. So we will see if anybody has that correct answer. I wonder if our first guest who's with us knows the answer to either question.
Well, do you want me to bring him up?
Bring him on. He's an author. He's a historian. Let's bring him on. Let's see.
You're righty or lefty. We're gonna call him a righty out of the bullpen.
Okay. Eric Vickrey. Am I pronouncing it right?
That's right. Yeah, but I am a southpaw.
A southpaw. Well, I knew you were pretty cool.
How you doing, Eric?
Great. How are you guys?
Good. How are you at now? And where's your home?
I live in Port Townsend, Washington, on the Olympic Peninsula.
Hey, guess what? My wife and I just decided we're coming up to Seattle this summer.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Never been there before.
Awesome. You going to catch a Mariners game?
No, they're not in town. If they were, yeah, we definitely would have done that because we haven't been there yet. But we're gonna fly out July 4th. Actually, flights are cheaper on that day, believe it or not. We're gonna go to Olympic National Park, stay there for a few days, and then go back to Seattle and do the touristy fun stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, you'll have a great time. Weather is perfect that time of year.
Oh, we can't wait. I'm excited. All right, Eric, real quick. Did you hear the trivia question?
I actually did not catch it. I must have jumped on just after.
I'll give you the first one was, and you don't have to answer this one. Or you could if you want. What color is Tony the Tiger's nose on a Frosted Flakes box? The second one is, which major league player was the first to appear on a Wheaties box? Nobody's put any answers in the chat yet. We'll let that sit for a while with you, and we'll get going to talk about your book. I saw the book, your posts, and was very intrigued. Hence the reason why I want to bring you on. Lou knows this. I love baseball book authors. Even if it's not my players or my team, it's just, we love baseball. And to learn about whether it's a different era, different players, or different stories, love it. So your book, Before They Were Dodger Blue, Tommy Lasorda and the Greatest Draft Class in Baseball History. You followed, amongst others, Bill Buckner, Steve Garvey, Davey Lowe's, Bobby Valentine, and Tom Paciorek through their that was the draft class. And we followed them in the book through their 1968 or that AAA season in Spokane, playing for Tommy Lasorda. What made you want to do this book?
Yeah, I think it's kind of an underreported story in baseball history that all this great talent came out of this one draft class that's, by all accounts, the greatest draft class in baseball history. Any way you look at it, that 68 class. And then all these guys came up together in the minor leagues under Tommy Lasorda, who was a minor league manager at that time. And then these guys kind of graduate to the big leagues in Los Angeles and all go on to great success in the big leagues, many of them with the Dodgers under Lasorda. So I thought it was a cool story. A lot of interesting characters, none bigger than Lasorda himself. So I thought it'd be fun to really dive in, kind of see how the Dodgers pulled off such a great draft, and then follow these guys, interviewed a bunch of them, and got some great stories for the book.
And how, excuse me, how did you? What was the most important thing that you learned or came out of your book and your research?
Well, so I could go in a lot of different directions with that. First thing that comes to mind is going into this, I didn't really know that Tommy Lasorda was going to be such a big part of the book, but really, so many guys credited him with their success coming up through the minor league. So, I think we all think of Lasorda. We've seen the memes of him, attacking mascots and going on expletive-laced rants post game. So he's this big character, but he really was a new baseball, was an outstanding motivator. So really helped these guys along earlier in their career. So that's really one thing that stands out to me that I really didn't appreciate going into this project.
Gotcha. And excuse me. I'm wondering, and do you go into this in the book about the culture he developed in Seattle with these players and how, if in fact it did transfer to the major leagues?
Yeah, no doubt. And that really started in rookie ball because in 68, when all these guys were coming up, he actually managed a lot of them in Ogden, Utah in rookie ball. So Valentine, Paciorek, Garvey, Buckner, they were all on the same rookie league team under Lasorda. And so he was really the first guy they met, getting off the plane in Ogden, Utah. He was this enormous personality. So right away, he had a huge influence on their careers. And then 2 years later, by that time, Lasorda had been promoted to AAA. So he was managing in Spokane, Washington. And then all these guys started moving up to AAA, and then he managed them again. So he really impacted them at multiple steps along their development.
You did interviews with a ton of guys. Can you give us some information about what you found out about these guys? And, I'm guessing, like you said, Tommy was a great motivator. What kind of impact, positively or negatively, did he have on some of these guys?
Yeah, so one of the guys that I spent a lot of time with who was very generous with his time, was Bobby Valentine. And that's another thing I can say I really didn't appreciate going into this project, is that Bobby Valentine, with this list of outstanding major league players, Garvey, Buckner, Lopes, on and on, Valentine was actually considered the best prospect in that draft. He was the Dodgers' first-round pick in '68. He was actually highly recruited as a running back out of high school in Connecticut, was supposed to take over for O.J. Simpson at USC, but the Dodgers drafted him first round in '68, convinced him to sign, and then converted him to shortstop. And so he had a ton of great stories about Lasorda coming up through the minor leagues, and a lot of guys similarly told me stories about Bobby, how he was this kind of polarizing figure even back then. I think he was as a manager as well.
Yeah.
But he was kind of a big personality, a lot like Lasorda in that way, just a really outgoing guy, an extrovert, and won the MVP award in the Pacific Coast League in 1970. Was really on his way to stardom, but then had some injuries that really derailed his career. So
interesting. So here's a question: who was the guy in charge of drafting all these players in '68? Who was it?
Yeah, great question. So that was Al Campanis was the Dodgers scouting director at that time. And really, it was interesting that in '68, the Dodgers were kind of going through a shift in the front office, because Buzzy Bavasi had been the GM and left for the Padres, expansion Padres, just days before the draft. And so then Fresco Thompson, who had been kind of minor league development guy, stepped into the GM role, oversaw the draft with Campanis as scouting director. And then a few months later, Fresco Thompson dies of cancer, and then Al Campanis becomes the GM at that time, a role he held for a couple decades. So he was kind of oversaw the draft, and he had about 20 scouts working underneath him.
That's interesting. I mean, and you talk about scouting and how important it is. Don't know how it's important now, I'm thinking, but it's not as, pardon me, again, for the homegrown players, that's really all there was back in the day. You needed to grow from within as opposed to free agency. But yeah, did you go into anything in the book about how they came across the decisions to draft all these guys?
I did, yeah. I really dove into that and tried to find out as much as I could. One thing that that Campanis and his scouts did in the months leading up to the draft was he actually consulted with NFL scouts, and in particular a guy named Al Locasal, who had been in charge of some drafts with the Bengals and the Chargers. And because at this time the baseball draft was still kind of in its infancy. It had just started in '65, so they were kind of learning on the fly a bit. But the NFL draft had been going on for years. So Campanis consulted with Locasal, kind of got some advice on how they looked at the draft, how they rated players. And the Dodgers really went all in on position players in '68. So kind of combining that information they got from the NFL guys, went all in on position players, and drafted all these tremendous athletes. All these guys were two-sport stars. Valentine, Pachorik had been drafted by the Miami Dolphins. Garvey played football at Michigan State. So all these guys were just really good athletes, and the Dodgers really put them in a position to succeed in the minors.
It's really interesting. Yeah, I mean, that is has there any, do you know, did you do any research on any other team that even came close to drafting a class like that?
Yeah, so I can tell you kind of there's different ways to measure how successful the draft class was. Of the big leaguers that the Dodgers signed that year, 9 of them played 10 or more years in the majors. That's never happened.
That's amazing. That really is.
More than 11,000 hits and more than 1,100 home runs. Those are draft records. And then another way, of course, we can measure successes by wins above replacement or WAR. And in that respect, that class had 234 wins above replacement. The next closest is the 83 Red Sox, who had 190 WAR. So
Dude, that's some good research, Eric. That's great.
Yeah, I did my homework for sure.
Wow, that's pretty good. That's impressive. Players that you talked to, what were the kind of the questions you asked them? What were you looking to get out of them, besides your basic experience with Tommy? Anything else that you were looking to get out of them?
Yeah, I would say, I was curious because this was in the era where the draft was just kind of coming along, and some of these guys had decisions to make as far as, should I stay in college? Should I go to the into professional baseball like Valentine, and Paciorek had the opportunity to sign with the Dolphins. So kind of just getting their mindset as far as what made them decide to sign at that time. That was a question I asked everybody. Kind of what their trajectory was coming up through the minor leagues. Of course, a lot of them had just great stories about life on the road trips, different kind of pranks they played on one another. I'd even talked to like the Bat Boy and Clubhouse Boy, who were with the Spokane Indians in 70. So went a lot of different directions and talked to as many people as I could.
I'm just writing down a question I want to ask. So these guys came together really as one group.
Yeah.
Did they? I'm guessing that because it happened that way, they became a tight group. And was it cliquish? Were they all leaders to introduce the new players when they came up and together? How did that all work out?
Yeah, that's a great question, because they really did have pretty divergent personalities. Valentine was this real outgoing guy. Buckner was kind of more quiet and reserved, but super competitive. He early in his career, if he struck out, he would throw his equipment. He was really ticked off that he was not a first-round pick. He was a second-round pick, and he really held a grudge that he wasn't a first-round pick through his career. Steve Garvey was kind of this, Mr. All-American guy. Didn't drink, didn't curse. Paciorek was kind of just more of a laid-back guy. Really good sense of humor. Then you had Davey Lopes, who had come out of kind of an impoverished upbringing in Providence, Rhode Island. He was really, really quiet early in his career, and Lasorda really pushed him to become a leader. And Lopes, later became team captain for the Dodgers in the late 70s. So he's definitely somebody who Lasorda impacted in that way.
Interesting. And, and obviously careers for a long time for these guys. Davey Lopes managed or coached the base runners for the Phillies when they were in their heyday in 2007-8, whenever that was, when they won the World Series, and did an amazing job. I mean, you could tell, right? He was that guy. He was that guy. Any fun stories you can relate to us? Who was the most fun interview you had?
Oh man. Yeah, Tom Paciorek. I grew up watching him on WGN. Him and Ken Harrelson, Hawk Harrelson with the White Sox broadcasts, and just loved those guys as a fan growing up. And so to be able to talk to him, and he has this awesome sense of humor. He did a spot-on impersonation of Vin Scully while we were talking, which is really cool. And I got so many fun stories. I could go in a lot of different directions with that. I guess one story that stands out is that Lasorda, early on, always encouraged his guys to be real outgoing and sign autographs for fans. So they did that, pretty early on in their career. But he, in rookie ball, noticed that some of his players were breaking curfew. So he came up with this ingenious plan where he would have the hotel, the guy working at the front desk at the hotel, anybody who came in after midnight, he would ask for their autograph on a baseball. And these guys just thought he was a big fan. So they would sign their names on the baseball. And then the next day, Lasorda would get the ball and he'd have a list of basically everybody who broke curfew.
That's great. That's pretty good. I like that. That's
Yeah.
pretty smart. He was, he's a smart guy. This Tommy Lasorda wasn't he?
No
He was
doubt.
really good. So, real quick before we let you go, we got about 5 more minutes. How did you come about? What is the way you pursued the beginning towards the end of the book? Do you start with the draft and then proceed through through your careers?
Yeah, so the book starts in 1964, and at that time Lasorda was a scout, and so I thought it'd be a good way to introduce him. So the first chapter is Lasorda giving a eulogy at Willie Crawford's grandfather's funeral. Lasorda was a scout who was trying to sign Willie Crawford in '64, and this was before the draft, when basically baseball talent acquisition was a free-for-all. Any team could sign any player. So I wanted to kind of start with that, and then baseball adopted a draft a year later in '65. So the first part of the book is baseball's transition from kind of this bonus baby era to the draft, and then kind of also looking at what was happening with the Dodgers organization at that time, because they had won pennants in '65 and '66, but after Koufax's retirement in '66, they are all of a sudden very mediocre. They dropped to, I think, 8th place in '67. They hit like 230 as a team. So they were really in need of a talent infusion, and that's where they really used the draft. So then the book goes into the '68 draft and then follows these guys as they come up through the minor leagues.
Very cool. Yeah, as our next guest, Zach, with another unique book coming out that has come out, and he's writing another one. But this book, again, stories you never would have heard. Well, thank God for social media, right? I mean, come across, all these guys, including you and Zach, who was coming up after you, to tell stories that we never would have ever thought to want to know, except for the talent that you guys bring, and said, hey, I need to bring this to the forefront and let people know what this was about.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I actually have had the good fortune of meeting Zach, and I have read his book. And yeah, I really enjoyed all the amazing stories about guys, coming up for their major league debut. So many really just people stories. That's what kind of my book art is about too. There's a lot of course, a lot of baseball history in it, but it's a lot of just human interest stories and, following these guys, so a lot of whom didn't make the major leagues. I interviewed a lot of, minor league players who never reached the majors, and their stories in many ways are just as interesting as the superstars, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, folks, it's called Before They Wore Dodger Blue, Tommy Lasorda and the Greatest Draft Class in Baseball History. You can get it anywhere. I've been on looking at it. Go get the book. Support Eric and all of his hard work. I'm going to get it at some point. I know I will, and we'll reach out after I finish, like I do with all my books, and say thank you for writing this book. It was really fun to read. So I know I love it.
Appreciate you having me on, and I guess I'll throw a couple of guesses out. I'll say Blue for the nose and Hank Aaron for the Wheaties box.
One is right.
Really?
Blue.
Okay.
You got it right. How about
wow? That was a shot in the dark.
Right. The Hank Aaron is not.
Okay.
All right, we'll pose those to Zach too. Eric, thank you, my friend. Maybe we'll meet up in Seattle.
Hey, that'd be great. Yeah, let me know when you're out here.
I will. I'll do that. Thank you, Eric, again, for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Eric.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Next up,
Zach,
another baseball book author. Lou, we love baseball book authors.
I'm 0 for 1, so I'm gonna go with my guess. It's like tails never fails. Let's call in the righty out of the bullpen.
Hello, Zach.
Hey.
Zach, are you a right-hander or are you a southpaw?
I'm sorry, I've already missed what you asked.
Are you a righty or a southpaw?
Oh, I'm a righty.
All right,
Nothing
I got it.
exciting here.
2. Okay. Batting
I
5.
was a bad righty too.
Is that why you started writing books? Maybe.
Oh man, I think like all of us, I had the dream of becoming a major leaguer, but when you hit 200 in Little League, You know, I'm all for, being optimistic.
How do you know
and
what you
trying to
hit in Little
encourage
League?
kids, but you hit 200 in Little League, you kind of have to understand pretty early. You got to give it up.
Well, I knew I wasn't going to make it when my coach told me, "All right, Lou, quit throwing your changeup, start throwing your fastball." And I said, "Coach, that is my fastball."
And I thought I was done, guys, when in Little League, I think it was my first year in Little League, and one game I walked 7 guys in a row. And I'm like, is he ever going to take me out? Why is he not coming to the mound to take me out? And then I walked. Then he comes out. He does come out in the eighth batter. I said, I'm thinking, okay, great, I'm leaving. Son of a gun left me in. It's like, oh my God, what are we doing? Finally got out of the inning. But my pitching career got better as I got older until as a pitcher. And Lou, if you pitch, and Zach, did you ever pitch?
I never pitched.
Okay.
I was one of those guys they threw out in right field. And then afterwards, when I got a little bit older, I used to play like middle infield and occasional third base. But yeah.
I was pitching in the minor leagues. I skipped because I could throw strikes at the time. I wasn't very fast. And my dad always said, keep it low to the big guys. We got to keep it low. Well, this one game, as soon as I let it go. And this kid was like what was I? Maybe 11? Yeah, maybe 11. This kid had to be 6'5", right? I mean, the pitch was right here. And I let it go, and I was like, oh, no. Boom! And you know what? I got whiplash turning around looking at the ball. Go over the fence. Called up. Baseball. Hold on. Let me get my reading glasses on. I know you can tell it, but I should be doing the intro. Baseball players. Baseball. Oh, my God. What did I write here? Baseball players
remember becoming major leaguers.
Remember becoming major leaguers. Thank you. I'm such a doofus. I saw this one too and said, wow, this could be, I bet you this is a fun book to read, because you go right to these guys at one of the most exciting times of their lives getting called up to the major leagues. And you go from 1961 to 2008. This is not just, one decade, one, segment. This is 40, 50 years.
Yeah. So the first ball player that's in the book is Sutton Sam McDowell, came up as an 18-year-old in 1961. And the most recent debut is actually 2018. It's Patrick Wisdom.
2018, yeah.
With the Cardinals. He's actually still playing in Korea.
Oh, he went to Korea.
Yeah, he went to Korea after the Cubs.
Okay. All right. So, as I always like to ask, what made you want to write this book? I mean, it's again, you in your website, personal interest stories. Absolutely, yes. But what made you want to write this one?
Well, there's a few reasons. I think all of us get kind of caught up in the emotions of some of these viral videos and stories that everybody sees each year of somebody that maybe, spent 10 years in the minor leagues and went through a lot of injuries, ups and downs, blah, 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 and then, there's that video of him calling his mom or his dad.
Yep.
And everybody gets a little teary eyed and blah, that is something that definitely, those viral videos, and they kind of hit home for me, or hit me right in the feels,
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And another reason was my great uncle. He was a professional ball player for many years in the 30s through 50s, and actually got the opportunity to break camp with the Red Sox in 1946. He was with them for about 2 weeks, didn't get into a game, got released, got picked up by the crosstown Boston Braves. Same thing happened to him after about a week, never returned to the major leagues. So his story in kind of baseball purgatory, I guess you could say, as a phantom major leaguer, was also something that was of interest to me. And just after a little bit of thought, somebody's got to write. Somebody has to have written a book like this or captured these types of stories. Did a little bit of research and nobody had, and I figured, hey, why not be the one that tackles the project?
Yeah, I'm glad you did it. You know why? Because I'm a soft heart too, and to see, like you said, the emotions and of us wanting to at one point have to maybe be there, or even if we knew we weren't, um, to live maybe through somebody else and see how cool it is to get that phone call as you're coming up. So that's really cool. I can't wait to read all about all these. Was 109 players you got?
Yeah, 109 that are captured in the book. I actually interviewed 149 for the book. And then once I got the book contract, this is my first book, so I was a little bit green going into it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got the deal with the publisher was like, okay, well, you got releases, right? And I was like, oh, no. I got verbal agreements with everybody, and they're like, just to cover our back end, we want to make sure to get signed releases. So I had to go back out. And keep in mind, I was only focused on the call up and the debut. So some of these were 10, 15, 20-minute cold calls, basically.
Okay.
So when you're following back up with these people after 3 years, some of them don't even, don't remember you, or they, aren't right because they get, other calls from, fans or writers. So, but 109 out of 149, that was a pretty good response rate. And it ended up putting me at the word count that the publisher wanted. So I'm happy with the 109.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's just really terrific. So we want to know a little bit about some of the really cooler stories that you write about in the book, or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe keep it a surprise and do some of the maybe not so cool. They're all cool, but throw out a couple of things that we may not even know about.
Well, what's funny is I talked to ball players for about 3.5, 4 years or so on this. And I would talk to a ball player and I'd think to myself, wow, this is one of the, best stories I've heard, and then a week later I talked to another ball player and I'd be, oh, this is great. This is one of the best stories. And it went like this for, 3.5, 4 years. So if you were to ask me, there are a couple that will pop up in, always pop up in my head. But, if I was to go back through the book and refresh my memory on some of them, my answer to this question might be different than it would have been,
Sure.
will be in, 2 weeks from now.
Sure.
But you have Phillies gear on.
Right.
So I'll pick a couple of Phillies. There was one guy by the name of Andy Carter, came up 1994 with the Phillies. Just a short major league career, a couple years. But he came up 1994, and he was in a town where there's some woods out in the outfield area, and a lot of the ball players, before they had to start warming up and get ready, they'd go out and they'd practice shooting. Just target practice, stuff like that.
Okay.
Obviously, that's not permitted, blah, blah, blah. So the manager comes out one day. He's like, hey, you guys get in here. There's a cop in here asking all these questions, blah, blah, blah. And Andy Carter's just like, oh, crap. What's going on? Seriously. And he pulls Andy in and he says, nah, man, you're going to the major leagues.
Oh my. See, you had me. That was
like, woo, yeah, that's much better than getting cited or going off for illegal shooting, right?
That's wow.
And so he gets to the major leagues. He's on the team for a week or two, doesn't get into a game, and they're in a series against the Padres. Now, there was a heated battle between the Padres and the Phillies one of these days. And there's, bench clearing brawl, blah, 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 right? The next day is when Andy Carter makes his major league debut. And he gets an 0-2 count against the first guy. And he's thinking, okay, well, I got an 0-2 count. I could be a little bit sloppy. You know, I'm going to try, you know, to, you know, maybe throw a little bit inside. But he's not trying to hit him. He's just thinking, okay, well, I got, you know, a couple pitches to give here. So he throws it, you know, inside. The combination of trying to throw inside, the nerves of his debut, everything like that. Well, he hits the guy. Okay, his very first batter. Guy goes to base. He gets the next guy out. The following guy is, I believe, is his third batter. Same type of situation. Gets a little bit sloppy, hits the guy. Now he's hit 2 out of his first 3 batters that he's faced in the major leagues. There's a brawl the night before. Umpire says, you're out of here. Gets tossed in his major league debut. Even the manager's like, what are you doing, dude? So he ended up actually, he's like, you're paying my fine. So the manager comes out, argues with the umpire. While he's arguing, he's like, dude, you're paying my fine. So that he ended up paying the manager's fine, too, for coming out. And then creating the situation. There's that. Patrick Combs, you're probably familiar with as a Phillies fan. He was drafted. He was, I think, the #1 pick by the Phillies in 1988. Plays in the Olympics 1988. Makes his professional debut 1989. And at the time, he was the first player to go A, AA, AAA majors all in 1 year. So, if, you know, in the late 80s, Patrick Combs, you know, he was a huge prospect. Shortly after, he ended up having some, you know, arm issues. Doesn't, you know, have the career that he had anticipated, but definitely a great story.
You got a Detroit for Lou. For Lou, do you have a Detroit Tiger story? Lou's a Detroit guy.
A Detroit guy. I'm trying to think of somebody who would be, you know, one of the guys who came up with Detroit Tigers had a pretty good story. He's actually got by the name of Casper Wells. I believe he came up in 2010, 2011. And he had, you know, a pretty bad game in the minor leagues. But he gets the call after the game that he's going to be going up the next day. And, you know, afterwards, he's walking back to his hotel room, I guess. He calls up his dad, and his dad's like, what are you doing swinging at this? Like, that was just kind of busting his chops. But it's, you know, hey, you know, yeah, that wasn't a great game for me, but guess what, Dad? And then they obviously have a moment, you know. And he had told me that one of his teammates that had been to the major leagues and then got sent back down told him, hey, when you go out on that field for the first time, just take in the moment. Just look around, walk around, you know, just, you know, do a 360. He says he does that 360, you know, and, you know, it's not like the minor leagues, you know, where there's bad lighting, 1, maybe 2 decks. And he's like, oh, gosh, I probably shouldn't have done that. Now it's a little bit overwhelming.
Listen, that makes sense.
But he actually was a great guy that actually he ended up being my first interview for my second book because he wrote a great blog post about the transition that he had to face after his professional baseball career of just trying to find a new identity and you know, passion in a secondary career afterwards.
Right, exactly.
Casper Wells is somebody that's just a great guy that, you know, I just thought of when you bring up the Tigers, but he did play with a few other organizations as well.
Jim, listen, the movie Jim the Rookie Morris, right?
Yeah.
I've had him on here several years ago. Really great guy. I mean, guy has a movie made about him, for crying out loud. That is something that we can all, if we've seen the movie, we can just like, oh my gosh, you know, when he gets that call in the bullpen, hey, Morris, you're in. I mean, I just got chills, right? And I'm sure that when you were listening to some of these stories, that you got the chills also in the way these guys related their stories.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the things too, you mentioned the rookie. One of the great scenes in The Rookie is when he walks into that locker room for the first time and he's overcome with emotion, looking at the names on all the jerseys, and then he finally finds his jersey. There were quite a few ball players that told me basically the same thing about walking into that locker room, seeing that name on the back of their jersey in a major league clubhouse for the first time, and just becoming overwhelmed with emotions.
I mean, it's a dream, right? It's a dream that you work so hard to get there, and all of a sudden, ba-boom, you're there, right?
One of my favorite stories, and I actually because I remember this from, I'm a Giants fan. This Dodgers blanket is a little bit misleading.
Okay. We see that now.
I have to preface that because people are like, what? My grandma and my extended family, they're Dodger fans.
Okay.
That was my grandma's lap blanket her last few years.
Really?
After she passed, I got it, so it's on there. Some reason my dad chose the Giants. I inherited the Giants, thankfully. But Jaw Leach, he comes up with the Giants in 2000, and he had spent 12 seasons in the minor leagues, multiple organizations. And, you're talking about the jersey and we're talking about the jersey in the clubhouse. Right. He wasn't among the first September call-ups. He gets called into the office after the last minor league game of the season, and the manager's getting after him about, you missed signs, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm just kidding. You're going up to the major leagues. So he gets to he's from Sacramento. He was in Fresno when he got the news, goes up to Sacramento, makes all of his calls, goes to San Francisco the next day. He said he arrived just ridiculously early. He said the only person in the clubhouse at that time, I think, was Mike Murphy, who was the equipment manager. He was there even before Dusty Baker. And he said the first thing he did was put on his jersey, just like he would in Little League, and then just walked around, looked in the mirror like, oh my gosh, this is, and Dusty Baker walked in, caught him doing that, and just laughed and said, I'll come in my office and give a little orientation of what the situation was going to be. But Jaw Leach, another local guy, I'm in the Sacramento area, great guy. But I remember his story when it happened. I mean, when he finally did get into a game, he got a standing ovation for his first major league at bat. He ended up getting out against Kurt Schilling. But even the crowd knew all the trials and tribulations he had been through those 12 minor league seasons, busting his tail to get that opportunity. Yeah.
I mean, it's just me thinking about these guys and their stories. It just makes it, obviously I got to get the book because they're pretty much all feel good stories. All, human interest, they grew up somewhere, they got support of their parents. They worked hard, and all of a sudden, boom, they're there. Just unbelievable. One more question. Chris Coast, Philly, I have the book over here, 33-year-old rookie.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that one.
Yeah. I don't know the story so much of him going there, but I remember him playing his first game with the Phillies, and he did pretty good for a while. I mean, he was pretty good.
I definitely prefer those stories of somebody who, had challenges throughout the minor leagues, maybe multiple organizations, multiple injuries, and, maybe had, parts of a few years in the major leagues. I definitely, I'm a little bit biased towards those as far as my emotional heartstring, as opposed to, a number one draft pick that makes his second spring training.
Yeah.
I mean, those are still great stories.
Yeah.
There are still some good ones in the book of those scenarios. But I like the guys that kind of went up and down and really had to bust their tail. I mean, there was another guy I could think of by the name of Jim Rushford, was not drafted out of college, went into independent ball, got released from independent ball, figured he had to go back into the workforce. After about another year, he's like, all right, I'm going to give it one more try. did well, got an opportunity with the Brewers. Within 2 years, he had a little cup of coffee with the Brewers, and he made his major league debut at Wrigley Field, and he had grown up as a Cubs fan. So yeah, those are the stories that I really like to capture, because the reality is most people aren't aware of them.
Absolutely. Right. We don't know.
If you're hearing the number one draft picks and, some of these other guys, there's a little bit more common. You do a Google search, you're probably going to figure out, where those, how those stories materialize. Yeah. But a lot of these guys, these cup of coffee guys, or these guys that had maybe 2 or 3 years in the major leagues going up and down, those are the ones that I really kind of gravitated to.
Yeah. Man, they sound great. And real quick before we go, you're working on another one.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually completed it. I turned it in. I turned in the manuscript to McFarlane in September. It's going to be called Beyond the Last Inning. So it's going to be about their post-playing career transitions. So it's going to include guys who were in the major leagues, guys who weren't in the major leagues. It's going to include guys that stayed in baseball, guys that entered completely different careers. And for my day job, I work in workforce development policy. Okay. So I've always been kind of interested in how people kind of find their careers and their passions. And it's really kind of interesting to find how ball players, found that second passion after they'd been, on the top of the mountain in a particular career that we all dream of, reaching, right? So it's interesting, the mix of careers that these guys have entered. Some of them have, become pretty successful entrepreneurs. Keep in mind, in baseball, you're a Hall of Famer if you fail 7 out of 10 times at the plate, right? Right. So a lot of these guys are like, hey, look, I'm used to failing 7 out of 10 times plus, right? Becoming an entrepreneur is not going to faze me whatsoever. Right. So, some guys became serial entrepreneurs, did well that way. Some guys did have some struggles trying to figure out what was going to be next. Some guys did have success in non-baseball careers and then went back to baseball afterwards. It's really a great mix of ball players finding what that next identity is outside of baseball.
Well, we are going to look forward to that one too. Mm-hmm. My tax refund will hopefully come, sometime in February or March. I know where I'm going. Amazon.
Yeah, it's supposed to be released. It's in their spring catalog.
Okay.
It could be anywhere between like March and June.
All right.
I don't have a specific date yet, but bring your summer of this year.
Right,
Beyond the Last Inning.
Very cool. Zach, listen, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. Terrific books. Terrific subjects. Just really neat. Things that you don't hear every day. And I'm looking forward to getting them both. So thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming, and stay well through the winter. And we'll keep in touch at some point. Hey, when that book comes out, you bring it back on.
Sounds great. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a good evening, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You too. Really great stuff, huh, Lou? Human interest stories that we don't know.
As always, yes.
Which is great. Yeah. Looking forward to getting all three of them, actually. So that'll be kind of fun. First player to appear on the Wheaties box.
Wasn't it Lou Gehrig?
Yes, it was.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Lou Gehrig was the man.
Yeah.
You got to think about when it was, back, I don't know exactly what the date was, but I said Mickey Mantle. We were talking about Yogi Berra and Joe DiMaggio because he was so, he was in the public eye a lot.
Right.
Lou, I'm luckiest man on the face of the earth, Gary.
Yeah, that's right. The iconic speech.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Lou. So next week we should make our Super Bowl predictions.
Okay.
And
being a guest, maybe we can get on. He's been on with me before, Mitch. It's interesting with the Olympics coming up.
Yes.
an author. He wrote for the Detroit News, I believe. News or Free Press, one of them. And he just wrote a book about the grind line with the Detroit Red Wings back, in their glory days of the 90s. And he also he wrote the book, The Russian Five, which turned into a 30 for 30, I think. Keith Gave he wrote a book about the women's Olympic hockey team that beat Canada.
Okay. Oh, that was the big one. Ooh, that was big. Yeah.
And he has said before he would come on, and so I've reached out to him. I'll keep you posted, but he's a great interview. He's got great stories.
That'd be great. It is almost Olympics time, which we all love.
Oh, I know. The NHL, like the Red Wings, have 6 games left before the break.
Yeah.
And I think because I was listening this morning, their last home game, they have a home game Saturday against Colorado, and then they don't have another one until like March 4th. So,
that Olympic break, they get a rest, but I'm sure they got to stay in shape. It's a weird thing. It's a really weird thing.
Yeah, it's. I'm really happy that the NHLers are back in the Olympics. It'll make me watch. I mean, I always watch the Olympic hockey, but
yeah,
you get to see the world's best, and that's what it's supposed to all be about, isn't it?
Absolutely is. Even, I mean, for me, the fun one. I love the ski jumping. Always have loved the ski jumping. Right?
Oh yeah.
Speed skating.
Cool. Yeah.
Curling, nah.
Oh, my wife loves curling. That'll be fun.
Does she really? Yeah.
Yes. We watch that. We'll be watching that. That and hockey will be our go-tos right there. Yeah.
We like the figure skating. I don't mind the figure skating. Grew up with Peggy Fleming and the Brian Boitanos, and it's cool stuff. It's a heck of a. Listen, if you've ever been on skates, and you have to have an appreciation of what these folks do.
It took me a lot of years to learn how to skate backwards, and I have since forgotten how. I haven't been on skates in a few years, but yeah, you're absolutely right. And
it's a talent, man.
I always say the two things is how can you skate backwards well, and how can you fight on skates?
I will never find out ever.
There's no way I could ever do it.
Yeah, no way. I would have been. Listen, I would have been a really good hockey player because I was fast. I'm fast. I was fast. Yeah. And I have really good peripheral vision.
Well, there you go.
But, I'm 70. That ain't happening.
No, I played, where I grew up, we didn't have it like they do now up in the UP. You had to go to Marquette, and it's like a 45 to 50-minute ride in good weather. And also, my parents weren't going to drive me up there at 6 a.m. in the morning for practice. And I don't blame them.
No.
But I played a lot. I played intramural.
Okay.
College. And then I played, when I graduated, I met up with some friends and I played full contact floor hockey.
Oh.
And then got into playing full contact roller hockey for a while in Ann Arbor. And, then my buddies started getting married and whatnot, having kids, and, same here. So I haven't played that in quite a few years, obviously, but man, that was fun.
Floor hockey was great.
Oh,
we used to play, my wife taught aerobics at the Y in downtown Chicago. And on Thursdays, we go Tuesday and Thursday. And on Thursdays, we go into the small gym, and there'd be a guy who organized it. And he and I would always play on the same team, which was great. And the rest of them were all kids. And it was so much fun.
Oh.
Regular goals. I mean, some of the kids would elbow me, and I'd say, "What the hell are you doing?" And they'd give him an elbow back. I said, "Stop. I'm older than you. I could be your father. You want to do this? All right, I'll give you an elbow back."
Oh, it was funny because in that full contact league I played in, he was my boss at the time, but we were really good friends. He's like, "Dude, you got to go out and get a regular hockey helmet. You're going to need." I'm like, no, I'm not. First game, I got checked into the wall and I ricocheted into the boards and I got a cut like right here. So yeah, the next day I went to Dunham's and got a helmet. That was $125. I'll never forget, $129. This was 1994. So that was 30 years ago, and I wish I still had it. But yeah, it's pretty funny.
Crazy. All right, Lou. I think it's time for dinner.
Well, I had cheeseburgers already. It's time for bed. I think half hour. I told my wife I'm going to stay up till 8:30 or 8:40 tonight. Going wild, man. Going wild. 65 days to retirement, baby.
I was going to say April 4th is coming, baby.
Yeah, it's like we were talking. I told my in-laws, I said, I retire April 3rd. April 4th, I'm going to take my first gummy. And they said, we'll drive down and give it.
That is freaking funny. Folks, you heard it here first.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's a riot. Oh, my gosh, Lou, that's funny as heck.
Yeah.
I want actually, you should take your first gummy when we go on the air in April.
Oh, my God. Well, no, because I'll just be sitting there like this.
That's fine. We want to see that.
Drool and Doritos.
Oh, no, that's terrible. Oh, my.
Nah. Well, stay safe this weekend, Mitch.
Yeah,
You know,
we'll see. Well, we're not going anywhere. Obviously, we'll watch the snow pile up here in Wilmington, North Carolina, folks. Ooh, man, I don't like it.
well, you can watch the Red Wings Saturday night.
Well, listen, we're playing games,
there you
watching
go.
TV.
Yeah, I've got a hockey game at 5:30, and then so I'll be home by 9. But Friday night we're gonna watch the basketball game, and then I think Sunday we're gonna probably watch a few episodes of Landman, get caught up.
Oh, baby. Yeah, hey, it's a really good ending.
Oh, don't say anymore.
I'm not saying anything. No,
Okay, all right.
It's good.
All right. The last one we watched was with the where they had the pirate dinner.
That was a freaking right. So I don't know if I told you this, but James Jordan, who plays Dale,
Yeah.
I know him. I met him years ago when he was a server at this restaurant with my daughter in Pasadena, California. And he had, I think he had just made Wind River. If you haven't seen that movie, he's one of the bad guys in it. And I asked him, I said, was that real snow? He goes, dude, I'm not doing that. I'm not working in the snow ever again. It was real. He was cold. He's like, I'm not doing this ever again. But he's made his mark with Taylor Sheridan, man.
Oh, boy.
I want to get him on here. I want to get him on because he's a Kansas City Royals fan.
Well, there you go. That would be amazing.
I know. I'm going to try and get him on because he's been in Landman, obviously
Yeah.
Yellowstone, and I think 1883, and he's also on Lioness. He's in Lioness too.
Okay.
His name is Two Cups, and he's a real nice guy. So I'll reach out to him. In between his projects, I'll reach out and maybe we can get him on.
All right. All right, Mitch. We want to thank everybody for watching us tonight, wherever you watch us around the world here on the Extravaganza. For my tag team partner, Mitch Bernstein, yours truly, Captain Lou, saying keep your heads up, keep your sticks down, keep your feet moving, and as always, keep your minds open. So long, everybody.
See you next week.